Well, I made a live stream last night complaining about how I don't want to do videos, but lo and behold, I have one that's actually somewhat interesting. So right now I'm IDing the vehicle. Now I've already diagnosed this today, but I'm staying late on a Friday off the clock just to share this case study because it's kind of interesting. The customer concern on this one is that ever since they had a windshield put in, the vehicle is a no crank, no start, no power, no lights, nothing. Not even if you tried charging or jump starting the battery, nothing. So I've got the key in. You can see I turned the key on and I got nada, okay? So let's see if we can at least get codes out of it. But what I was saying is on these newer ones, you can still get lucky and get codes out of them even though nothing turns on, okay? Because the battery in this, obviously, nothing's turning on. I mean, the headlights don't turn on. I've got nothing. The door locks don't work on the fob. Nothing, okay? Completely dead. This has got the L83 5.3 in it, V8, four-wheel drive, 2017 Chevy Silverado. Right off the bat, you can see the engine is reporting it lost comms with the EBCM, lost comms with the body module. The transmission is reporting that it lost comms with the body module. The EBCM, or the anti-lock brakes, is saying it's got low voltage codes, and the airbag is saying it lost comms with the body module. The chassis control module auxiliary, low voltage code, lost comms with the EBCM, lost comms with body control module. Invalid data received from the EBCM, human machine interface, again low voltage codes, HVAC, low speed CAN bus is off, lost comms with the BCM, lost comms with our inflatable restraint sensing and diagnostic module, lost comms with the instrument cluster, lost comms with the radio, lost comms with the telemetry. So all these communication faults. Instrument panel, same thing. Steering wheels, control signal circuit terminal, electrical failure. Lost comms with the BCM. So the pattern here is the BCM, the no comm with the BCM in multiple modules. And you can see passenger presence system, lost comms with BCM, IPC, inflatable restraint diagnostic module. Low speed CAN bus is down in the serial data gateway. Low speed extension CAN bus is down. The low speed CAN bus is off. Lost comms with the ECM in the transfer case. Lost comms with the TCM. Lost comms with the EBCM. Lost comms. So you can see all these lost comms with all these different modules. Okay. Obviously, the codes are going to be the readiness monitors aren't going to be complete because the battery was disconnected. Now, when they did the glass, they said, yeah, we disconnected the battery, and after the glass was installed, vehicle wouldn't start, and this is what we were left with, and we don't know why. Okay. So not a difficult diagnosis, but just something to keep in mind. So now, one thing you might have noticed is the BCM did not report. Okay, so obviously we have a communication fault with the BCM. So what we can do is just go back and try to access our BCM right now. Okay, and let's see if we can see codes. And there you go, no comm. Now let's just test that. Key is on. Obviously there's no power to the accessories or anything, but maybe we can get some data out of the engine since it's communicating. Let's just look at engine data. And it looks like that's working just fine. Now the other one was what? The EBCM? So let's take a look at the electronic brake control module. Anti-lock data. Anti-lock braking data. Let's see if it's communicating. So our EBCM is down too. Okay. From what it's looking like, it's having trouble communicating. Just give it a second here. Yep. So it flashed us data for a second, and then now we're to a no comm. Okay. So the most The one everyone's telling on is the BCM. Now the BCM is your power mode master in a GM, so it powers up. It's the guy who sends out all the wake-up signals. It's going to enable the radio MOS network, or whatever you want to call it, or expansion bus, the low-speed CAN bus network for the infotainment. BCM's a big player here. And the fact that I have no lock and unlock functions, I can't roll my windows up and down. Pretty much everything, every accessory in the vehicle is down. Okay. All right. So next step is going to be to look at our power feeds to that body control module. So I'm going to edit that in. I'm going to show you the wiring diagrams so we can save some time, okay? And then we're going to get into testing at the BCM, these powers and these grounds, okay? Because I'm concerned about powers and grounds to our body module right now. That's the module I'm going to go after and find out why I can't communicate with it. Could be a blown fuse, could be a bad ground. Who knows, right? So
we got a 2017 Chevrolet Silverado 4-wheel drive next, okay? And the reason I want to show this is because this is the part that everyone leaves out. Yeah, I accept that, GM. Now, I'm not giving away information from GM. What I'm doing is showing you how to navigate service information. Now, we want to know where our powers and our grounds come from our BCM. This is the part that confuses everyone, the menu. And the reason it does is because you guys do not, and yes, I'm calling you out, you do not use it enough properly, for especially for the ones that are new. You don't use it enough even when you should, and you already know the answer. You're not finding the answer. You have to find the answer. So we're looking for power and signal distribution, okay? And then what we're looking for is our data communications, okay? And in here, we're going to go to schematic and routing diagrams, and then we're going to go to body control schematics, okay? And in body control schematics, we're going to go to module, power, ground, and serial data. Boom. Right there, what do I have? So if I zoom in on that, I have my body control module, all my data communication lines, my grounds, and my powers up here, okay? Now, if we look at our powers, what you're going to see me do, and I'm only going to do this one time, and I'll show you how to find the ground, but this is telling, now if you're using the computer at work or whatever, you're going to have a hyperlink, okay? So like if I go back, I'm zoomed in right there. I can edit the waveform or whatever I want to do to it. If I click here, well, even at home, if I click on this, when you're using factory information, the nice thing about it is like, okay, so I need to see my pinout for my body control module, right? Boom, I click on it. Oh, do you want to see X1? Yeah, I do. Do I want to see K9 body control module X2? Yep. Now you see why we pay money for factory information. Okay, look at how easy that is, gentlemen. Imagine using aftermarket. So that's my point. If I want to see, you know, this power feed going to X2 here, okay, and I click on X2, boom, we're done. We're done, okay? I've got my face view. They're even showing me that. They're giving me my harness type. They're giving my OEM connector type. They're giving my service connector part number. What kind of description it is. It's a light blue 27-way connector, okay? what series it is. They're giving me my terminal lead. They're giving me my diagnostic test probes, my terminal removal tool, my service terminal, all that, all in one. How nice is that? My circuit numbers, my colors of my wires, the size of my wires, the pin number, and the function of that pin, and the terminal type ID. Now, the terminal type ID is to help us identify which terminal removal tool we need to use based on its terminal type ID, okay, for that particular pin. It's not that complicated. This is not that complicated, okay? So we're going to go back, getting back to the diagram, okay? When you zoom in, this gives you the option to do all your editing or whatever. You want to highlight something, okay? We have our circuit numbers here. We have circuit number right above our terminal or our, wire color, okay? When you look at any particular module or component, again, dotted lines equals a partial view, meaning the body control module obviously has more inputs and outputs than this. But all we're concerned about in this particular case study, guys, is these fuses, okay, the ones I'm showing you, and then all of these grounds. I'm only concerned about the grounds here. You can see the grounding circuits. This one is its own ground on circuit 451. Then you have circuit 1850 on all three of these legs, which all are spliced together. That you see again, you see a dotted line down here, which indicates that this ground at G218 or Gulf 218 is a shared ground. And this is a partial view of what's all shared on that ground. So it's not that the body control module is only using Gulf 218. Okay? There are other things using this ground. This is a pretty critical ground. Got it? But we want to rule out all our power feeds. We're not worried about doing any scoping of the data communication schematics. Okay? You could certainly go down that route, but you're going down a rabbit hole. Start with the basics. Are all my power feeds there at the fuses? Are they there? Are they there at my module? Right at the connectors. X5, pin 3, pin 4, X2, pin 4, X1, pin 3, pin 2, pin 4, X2, pin 1, pin 3, X4, pin 2, 0. Got it? Then we check our grounds. X1, pin 1, X2, pin 2, X6, pin 3, X4, pin 2, 6. Pretty straightforward. X4, pin 2, 6 is going to ground at G110. Okay? If we need to look up our grounds, not too hard. Factory information, even Protoman, makes this pretty simple. Just type in your ground up in the search function up here if you really want to. Otherwise, if you need to know, power and signal distribution most likely, right? But we could go to master electrical component list and type in our code G218. Boom! Instrument panel harness in the passenger compartment under the left front instrument panel defroster deflector near the left A pillar. G210 and G218 location view. Hyperlink. Boom. Not too hard, gentlemen. Item number 1 is G218, driver's side, right there. Item number 2 G210, instrument panel harness, right there. So if there's a reason to work for GM, that would be it. Just saying, pretty straightforward, pretty simple, right, gentlemen? Take it for what it is. That's your navigation tutorial and your diagrams.
We're going to get into testing these fuses now. I'm using a 194 bulb. This is a 2.5 amp bulb, okay? So this will carry 2.5 amps for a current load. It's basically just a 194 bulb, and you can see that I've soldered on double bananas. So this is the ground side, and this is the power side, okay? Doesn't really matter, you can hook it up either way. And then I just got a jumper on this for extension, okay? So we're gonna go down, we're gonna go over to the underhood fuse box and check this fuse. F55UA, 5 amp. Okay. So, that 5 amp fuse is, I'm gonna try to give you guys some decent light here. This is our 5 amp fuse we're after. And our test light is hooked to ground, battery ground. Going right back to source, guys. Always go to source. And I'm just going to touch, there's 3 legs on it, 3 little legs. I'm going to be touching on the top with my pin here. And you should see this test light light. So there you go, there's one leg of it. Now the center leg. Okay, so that's good. And then the last leg of it, that's good. Alright, so that fuse, as far as we can tell, can carry 2.5 amps. Now it's a 5 amp fuse, so I'd say that circuit's just fine. That doesn't mean that it's good coming out of the box though, guys. So let's be clear on that. Alright, so let's go ahead and now we're going to go to our left instrument panel fuse box. That is our X51 Lima. And we're going to go to F17DL, which is a 10 amp fuse. And they do have a label here. Now you just need to make sure that you kind of match it up so you know which one it is. May take you a minute, but pay attention to details. So that is our fuse right there, that 10 amp. Let's go ahead and get our light. You always make sure you double check yourself because you don't want to be putting yourself down a rabbit hole. Okay, now it's important to note those are always hot B positive feeds, okay? So we're after F17DL, our Delta Lima 10 amp. And we're gonna go ahead and test that with our test light here. There's one side. Let's test the other side. And there's our other side. So safe to say that's a good fuse. F7DL. Let's see, that was 17. So, actually I got this upside down. Of course my flashlight's dying. Let's see, F17. Which one are we after? F7. That's third one up on the far right there. And what size amperage was that? That was a 10 amp as well. So third one up. Let me go grab a different light. Alright, so F7 is third one up on the far right. So that's going to be this one. Right. Third one up right where my finger is. Okay, that's F17. Or F7 rather. And we need to also check F6, which is a 20 amp, which is right above that one. And you can see that 20 amp right above it. So that's those are the two fuses we're checking. All right. So we'll start with F7, the 10 amp. Okay. There's one side. How the other? Oh goodness, I can't see it. There we go. Alright. Now that 20 ampere F6. There's one side right. Oh. On. Try again. There we go. Alright. Now the other side. Oh, I had it. Go on. There we go. Okay, so those are good. Alright, the last one's obviously we got to check around the passenger side IP, or fuse box if you will. So let's go over there and take a look at those. Now again, this is telling us that the fuses are good. That doesn't mean that coming out of the fuse box they're good. So that's again why we're going to be going to the BCM to check these as well. And that's essentially what a voltage drop test would be as well. So if you're concerned about voltage drop, that's, you know, from the fuse box to the BCM is how we would do that, okay? Positive to positive, loaded, okay? All right, the next two we're gonna check on the passenger side are gonna be 7, this 20 amp, and 8, since they're right by each other, this 20 amp, okay? Those are both 20 amp fuses, and those, again, you gotta pay attention to orientation on your diagram here. 7 and 8, okay, are right up there. You can see 7, 8 are the third one down, the fourth one down from the top on the side. So that would be these two guys, right? I can't even get my finger in there. Hold on. So we're after these two, 7 and 8, okay? We're gonna check both sides of them with their test light. Go right down the line here, fairly quickly. Okay, there's one side. I think I'm on 8. So that's one side of 8. Let's go on the other side. All right, there's the other side of 8. All right, now on to 7. Okay, there's one side of 7. And oh boy, we're poking in the dark here. I'll find it eventually. Oh, for goodness sakes. I'm using a small pin so it doesn't get the greatest contact. There we go. So those two are good. Alright, so now the next 3 that we need to check are 28. Let's check 45 and 46 since they're both 15 amp and they're right next to each other. 45 and 46, both 15 amp. So let's see where those are at. So 45 and 46, if you look here, that is going to be 45 is this guy right here and 46. So the two 15s on the far right, right below the bigger fuse, which is going to be these guys right up here, okay? So let's go ahead and test those. Make sure they're good. Alright, let's see what we got here. So there's one side of that one. Good light. Let's check the other side. That one's good. Alright, now this one. Let's see here. There we go. You can see the lights on. Alright, now the other side. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, so those two are good. Alright, last one. And that's going to be 28DR. Our Delta Romeo. So 28. Oh, 28, where are you? Right there, top. 28's right here. Right on the top there. Probably can't see it, but 28, okay? So 1, 2, third row over, 28, and that was what that was a 10 amp, right? 10 amp. All right, that's gonna be this one right here. That one, right? Yep. 1, 2, 28 is the second one down. Yeah, third row over. That's this top one right here, right above those two big 15s. See it? Right above the two bigger 15s right there, that red one. That's the one we're after. Let's go ahead and test them. That last one. Now, of course, I already know these are good, but just for the sake of video. Alright, there we go. There's one side. Looks good. And, oh, there we go. There's the other side. Okay, that rules that out. It's not a blown fuse. Okay. And this is a factory diagram for all its powers and grounds. So these are all our communication lines coming out for our data communications. We'd have to go to a different schematic if we want to look at that. We're not going into that on this. We're keeping it basic. Last thing we need to do is check grounds. We'll do that right at the BCM, right? So let's check all these power feeds on these connectors. So X4, X2, X1, and X5 and X2. We got to disconnect all them at the BCM. So we're going to go to our BCM down here. Now, we're going to print out pinouts, but I've got printed out pinouts, but this is our BCM, okay? So X1 is our natural, X2 is our light blue, X3 green, X4 is black, X5 is brown, X6 is, what is that? White, and then X7 is gray. Okay, pretty straightforward. I'm just gonna push the tang in. I'm just gonna disconnect the ones I need right now, pull them down so we can access them, okay? Okay. So I've got X1, 2, 4, and 5 all disconnected and ready for testing. We're going to start with X1. Well, we'll start from the left here on the wiring diagram. That way we won't screw it up. So X4, pin 20. So we get our pinouts. X4 pin 20. So let's go to our X4 connector. That's going to be the back one here. So we look here, this is X4, pin 1's here, it goes to 4, and then so on and so forth from right to left, looking at the face of the connector. This is going to be our, what color? Our black connector. Now we're checking powers, so our test light is still going to be hooked to ground. We're going to use our exact same test light we were using for our fuse checks. This is just, like I said, this is just a homemade 194 bulb socket that I made, and I just soldered on double banana jacks onto it. Okay, so the pin we're after is pin 20, which is going to be the second one up from the bottom left there. Okay, and if we look on here, it even tells us pin 20, battery positive voltage. Okay, all right. So let me find that. It's going to be our black connector. That's this one here. Okay, now we're not stuffing this pin in there. This is a very small pin. It will go in there if you push it in there, but I'm not doing that because we spread these terminals and they are delicate. And you're going to have some problems. So don't be doing that, especially on computers, okay? And actually, let me show you something. In case you're unaware, if you look at the connector face, okay, they give you a little spot where the release is. That's where they want you to probe at. So if you look real close, you'll see where the actual metal pins are in the squares. They want you to go in the space above that and barely touch it. Okay, then a lot safer. Don't be stuffing them in where the pins actually go unless you get the appropriate pin drag tool, which when you get your pin out, it will tell you what terminal test leads you need to use, and you need to know how to look that, you know, correspond that, because you go shoving the wrong ones in there and you're gonna have pin fitment issues, which is very common. So let me just get on that pin 20, and there you have it. So there's pin 20 and our black connector. Okay, all right, so that tells us a lot. That tells us that circuit, I don't know why this isn't focusing, circuit 2340 there, this circuit is good. So now on to circuit 2740 on our X2 connector. And there's two power feeds on our X2 we're going to look at. We're going to, well, actually three. There's pin 1, pin 3, and if you look over here, pin 4. Okay, so 1, 3, and 4 on X2. So let's find those. 1, 3, and 4 X2. Alright, so here's our X2 connector. That is our light blue connector, okay, X2. And we're after what again? 1, 3, and 4, right? So 1, 3, and 4 are all up on the top there. 1, skip 1, 3, and 4. Very straightforward. Let me get them. All right, so there I'm on pin 1, just barely touching it. Oh, hold on. Hold it steady there. That's a good feed. All right, pin 3. All right, so there's pin 3. On to pin 4. And there is pin 4. So all those power feeds are good. What's left? So it takes care of X4, X2. Now we're on to X1. And we need to get, so X1, we need to get pins 3, 2, and 4. So 2, 3, and 4 on X1. 2, 3, and 4 on X1. It's going to all be up on the top again. So there's 1 on the right. So we're after 2, 3, and 4, the last 3, right? 2, 3, and 4. Look. 2, 3, and 4 are all battery positive voltage, okay? And what color connector? That is the NA, which is natural color, which essentially looks like white. Alright, so we're on pin 2. Now be careful and make sure you're orientating the face of this connector correctly in accordance with the diagram, okay? It can be very confusing if you aren't on the right pins, okay? You just got to pay attention. And if you're in doubt, check the back side, wire color. So let's see, that was pin what? That was pin 2. So let's do pin 3 real quick. There's pin 3. Okay, let's check pin 4. And there's pin 4. So all of our power feeds to our BCM are there, and they are good for all of our circuits thus far. We still have to check X5. We have to check circuit 5140 and 3440. So X5 pins 3 and 4. So here's our X5 connector. So again, it's top ones, top 2, 3, 4, the bigger pins. That's our X5, which is our brown. So let's go ahead and check them real quick. All right, so find your brown. Again, it's the bigger ones, so you gotta pay attention, because, you know, especially when it comes to, like, you just gotta pay attention when you're doing this kind of testing. You get better at it as time goes on, but if you're not paying attention, it's easy to make a mistake. So let's see, let's start with 3. I know you can barely see there, but there's 3. Okay, let's go to pin 4. All right, hopefully you can see that. I'm in pin 4 there. Good light. Okay, all our power feeds are good to our BCM. It's time to check grounds. Now to check grounds, we need to switch one end of our test light, the one we have to hook to ground right now. We need to switch that over to battery positive, okay? So I know this is already hooked to ground on the battery, so I'm just gonna go over to, you know, where I have my jumpers hooked up to ground, and I'm just gonna switch it over to battery positive, and then we're set up to do our ground checks. All right, real quick, because the glass company is actually coming out to take the glass out so I can fix these wires. Anyways, X1, you can see we have pin 1 is our ground at the BCM. Okay, now X1 connector and X2 and X6, they all share the same ground, this ground G218, okay? So we're gonna test each one. And then of course we have X4 here, which has its own ground. So we'll go to X4 first. That's ground 110. So 110 is in the zone of the engine compartment. Zone 2 would probably, you know, it's gonna be dash, okay? And that's where our ground is, okay? I can tell you right now, we have a bad ground on G218, okay, obviously. But just for testing purposes, I've already switched my test light over to battery positive. So if I ground this test light, it should light on something that is a ground, right? Go right on the brake, park brake lever, and you can see it's lighting. So we got good connection. So let's go to X1. Alright, we'll start with X4. Let's go to X4, pin 26. So let's find X4. X4, pin 26 is our bottom left corner right there. That's pin 26, and that is on the black connector. So bottom left corner. Again, pay attention to your orientation. That's going to be that corner right there, and you can see we've got a nice bright test light, so that's a good ground on X4. I'll just jump over to X6 pin 3 here. Let's see, X6 pin 3. That's why I had X6 printed. So pin 3 is up on the top row again. Second one over from the left. That is our light blue, light purple. Well, light PU they call it. I guess that's purple. Light PU. Is that purple or blue? PU, light PU, purple. Nevertheless, we need to go to pin 3, so that's going to be this top one. Pin 3 is going to be the second one over. Let's go and stick her in there. And I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it. Now, because I've been moving things, you can see we have no test light. Now, before I had a real dim test light because a few of the strands were still touching each other where they were cut. But we're going to continue to roll on. I should probably filmed it before I touched anything. Pin connector X2, pin 2. Alright, so X2 is going to be, in either case, we don't have a lit test light, so we know we have a bad ground somewhere. X2, and since this one shares the same ground, pin 2 is going to be top row again. This is the light blue. Did I get that wrong? Yeah, light purple. Did I not? Oh, you know what? We were I'm losing my mind. We just test. Alright, we were testing the wrong one. Hold on. Well, since we're here, we've already got the light blue down, so we actually went in the wrong pin. It's not going to hurt anything because the circuit's isolated. Let's see, X2 pin 2. I'll show you that on that light purple once I pull it down, but okay. So pin 2, you can see we have a real dim test light. Okay, that's on pin 2 on X2. Alright, now let's go to X1. X1 was what color? X1 connector, pin 1. That's the natural color, or white, if you will, sort of white. That's this one here, and that's going to be the pin right there. Same. So pin 1, again, real dim test light. Okay, now X6. I'm losing it. Pin 3 is the one. X4 was pin 26. I'll get it right eventually. So right now we're on the X6. Pin 3. That's our light purple. Pin 3. Dim. Okay. Alright, now X4. Pin 26. So X4 pin 26 is, yeah, that's the bottom left corner. And that is our black. Oh yeah, we did test that one, okay. So we didn't miss it. So that's our black. I think that one was good, maybe? Or was it? Yeah, that was a good one. So that one on X4 is good. So that's the one that has its own ground. That's where she got hacked through, okay. So what I've got here is I've got jumpers. And I'm going to jump ground to the harness side, down to the BCM, reconnect my BCM, and we're gonna give that ground back to the BCM. Alright, I just plugged in the BCM, and you can see now we've got interior lights. And look what's back on. Yay! There you go. I guess the moral of the story is be careful when you're cutting out windshields. Probably a new guy, is what it is. Everyone makes mistakes. In either case, it was kind of interesting. And, you know, it's nice to get these every now and then, just to, you know, it just goes to show that it's important that you do your testing before you just assume a module or a fuse or whatever. You know, before you assume things, test. Now, we could do voltage drop testing on those grounds, and we're going to get, I could do that real quick, but it's important to remember when you do voltage drop and you're using your meter, you know, one meter hooked to battery negative and the other meter hooked to one of the grounds, okay, to see what your difference in potential is there, it needs to be plugged into the BCM to do that. I don't want to pierce into wires. I don't want to be back probing and spreading terminals, so I opted to go with the test light on this, okay, because those are straight grounds. They should be able to carry a load, and I was putting 2.5 amp load on them, and you could see that we had a dim test light. Obviously we know we got damaged wiring, so we're done. But if you were doing voltage drop testing, again, I can't stress it enough, you need to remember it has to be loaded. Same thing if you're going to do the power side. If you're going to do power side, you know, one probe into the BCM power battery positive feed down there at the connector, plugged into the BCM, okay, and the other one at battery positive, and then you read your difference in potential. It should ideally be no more than, what, 200 millivolts. Anything more than that, anything more than 200 millivolts on a voltage drop is suspect, okay. You could have used the ohm meter on this as well. You could see that we still had continuity to ground, so that's why I like loading them with the test light. I'm not opposed to voltage drop. I'm not opposed to the ohm meter. They all have their place. It just depends on the situation. It comes with time and experience. In either case, I'm done ranting and raving. This video's over. It's fixed. Well, it will be, obviously, once I fix these grounds. Now, I'll probably splice in some new wire, and I'll probably splice in somewhere down where I can easily access it under the dash, fix it up nice, and wrap the harness back up with some good anti-vibration tape, resecure it, and put the dash back together. Obviously it's gonna be nice because they're actually gonna come out and take the glass out, because the guy said he can do it in like 5 minutes, so that's cool. Anyways, thanks for watching. Take care. See you on the next one.